Crop Talk on Market Journal is supported by Nebraska's soybean farmers and their checkoff. Finally today, here on Market Journal, you often hear about the importance of grain marketing. Many marketing services will tell you that pre-harvest marketing, also known as hedging, can help you increase your profitability. To learn more about hedging, we recently had the chance to catch up with UNL Associate Professor of Ag Economics, Cory Walters. Here's our conversation as part of this week's Crop Talk. Today on Crop Talk, we are joined by Cory Walters, and he is an associate professor in the Department of Agricultural Economics at the University of Nebraska. Cory, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to talk a little bit about grain marketing and some different strategies here. You recently wrote an article talking about hedging, so let's set it up from the ground up. What is hedging in your opinion?
Yeah, the basic idea behind hedging is setting a price now for fall delivery. You're locking it in.
Yeah, locking it in. Any idea on how many producers out there, or I guess maybe your personal opinion, how many producers out there today are using some hedging in their marketing?
Everywhere from 0% all the way up to some are very, very active, getting in and out throughout the year.
Yeah. Okay, Cory, so let's talk a little bit about some of the things you covered here in your article. A quote you had in there, you said, when it comes to hedging, some producers smell the roses but feel the thorns. So it's feast or famine almost sometimes with hedging. What do you mean by that?
So there's a common view of looking at hedging just in the immediate year. You know, we get to the fall and we look back and said, I shouldn't have done that, or I should have done more of that. And that's, well, it's reasonable. We can be better than that. And the idea is to look at what the market signals are over time, and that's the seasonals. In the historical series that we've went through, the prices typically go up in the spring at some point, and then they start dropping into fall. Now, whether or not that's going to continue into the future is a theoretical question, but we don't have any reason to think it won't. But we need to use past experience to help guide us into the future. And the other part of that is looking at your average price. When you hedge something in the spring and prices continue to go up into the fall, think about what your average price is doing. Not that I shouldn't have hedged because it went up. That's too narrow. And at the same time, if you hedge and then prices go down, you think of your average price as well. It's moving down with you, but not to the same degree as it could. And it's those low prices that are low probability events that we want to stay away from, because that's when bankers may not be as happy with us anymore. So it's thinking about the seasonal, thinking about the average farm price as you go through this thing, and we don't know forward looking what's going to happen. We have this upcoming year will give us a different price path than we've ever seen. It will look completely different than last year's, and it's going to be unique. So we have to manage that, knowing that we're putting out a lot of money for a crop of corn these days, and we need to manage our revenue so that we can remain financially viable.
One of the things you mentioned is the fact that crop insurance can come in here and help give some reassurance, I suppose, so to speak, when it comes to if you're going to do some pre-harvest marketing or hedging. Yeah,
crop insurance revolutionized how we think about how much we pre-harvest hedge. Before that, it was pretty much very little to zero, and now you can walk up that a little ways. And in the article, we went to 40%. Through some other research, that's what we found is a pretty good point early in the year. And of course, once we know we get past droughts, things like that, where prices can really go up, when production goes down, you get caught in that pinch where you can't deliver, then you can open that up more. But for the time being, until we know whether that drought's coming, and we're not going to be able to perform on our contracts, that's about a reasonable size, somewhere around that 40%.
So tell me more about the different scenarios you looked at to come to that number of 40%. Seems to be a decent number to look at.
So we looked at the trade-off between expected income and risk. And what we included in that then was not only just the premiums for crop insurance, but also the buyback costs. When you can't deliver, how much is it going to cost you to get out? And in that, there's a pretty good trade-off there that stopped us going much over 40% to keep those buybacks down and make sure that you're still able to go with the market, because you don't want to hedge everything and then watch the market go way up, right? That can put you in a bad spot too. So it's a balance. We use computer models to try to simplify this complex world. It's a great tool, but it still is a model, and we need to still filter that for how does it work for our operation. So what we're providing is guidance, not wholesale rules, but ideas on how to think about these things, because including crop insurance, in our environment today with the prices we're at, the input costs we're at, the potential for where prices can go, it's complex. There's a lot on the table here that can impact us.
Going back to, kind of the premise of this whole conversation, you yourself are not necessarily advocating for people to hedge, but more create a mind shift of sorts, of shifting your thinking to creating a farm average price. Let's reiterate that point.
Yes, I am not advocating everyone, start changing their behavior and start hedging, but to think about that farm average price, how that's working with you when you have a portfolio of hedged bushels and unhedged bushels, and not think of just what I should have done or shouldn't have done looking back, because we have to live in a forward-looking view. We can't see what's going to happen coming up here in the next couple months. We don't know, but there's a range, and we want to protect that range, that some certain outcomes, low prices in particular. We don't want that, because that, with our input costs where they're at, it can really start to hurt financially. We want to stay away from that. We have to value that, even if those prices don't turn out in the fall. It's not that they happened or not. It's whether, sorry, let me say it a little different. It's not whether we experience it. It's more important of we protected ourselves from it because there's a chance it can happen. And we don't know in any given year going forward when that can happen.
Always keeping that, your eye facing forward. It's sometimes challenging but important, it sounds like.
Absolutely, yes.
Cory, thanks for coming in. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you.